is no secret that game collecting has changed over the years. And one thing that's very important right now is FOMO, the fear of missing out. Everyone is out there with the Xbox 360, and everyone is trying to discover what the next IT console will be. It seems like as we progress through time, different systems tend to be like these IT or go-to systems that everyone's trying to collect. The prices go up, and it's just insanely hard to collect for. Well, there are certain things that I wish I knew when I started, or even now, just a little bit before this. So first of all, I wish I started collecting the Xbox 360 prior to now, because some of these prices are just so insane. It is wild always searching for that next IT system, or the system that everyone is chasing at that particular time. One thing that you should definitely do is try and go after different systems, not always what everyone else is doing. When I started collecting, especially the Nintendo 64, that was a system where so many games were like less than $5, and even Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut was under $100 when I picked it up, and it is just insane what I traded in to get that. So I just am super stoked for that time, just all those different consoles before the hype of things, before limited, before people realized that certain things were rare. So I would definitely go for systems that aren't the trends, just aren't those waves that people are chasing and following. Especially when there is this like crazy spike and the Nintendo GameCube. That is a set that I found rather difficult to find complete in-box games for, because it seems like everything is missing some sort of manual, or sometimes the discs just aren't in the best shape. And that is one where it's a much smaller library at a lot of my video game stores. So I'm finding that to be a little challenging, just because everyone else is looking for the same stuff. So that is one thing I wish I would have done a little bit different. Maybe collected some of those crazy expensive Xbox games before now, so that you don't have to spend those crazy amounts of money. So going forward in the future, that is something that I have to look out for a little bit more, and that's something I wish I knew, before I jumped into this. Then I would have to say a big thing would be to stay organized. It is so easy to get so disorganized in this collecting, this hobby, this passion, whatever you believe. And it's just crazy because there are so many collecting apps. Now, this is something that I'm guilty of not doing. I still have my paper lists. I still have like printed out lists. I'm highlighting as I go, and it gets very disorganized pretty quick. You can sometimes like buy the same game multiple times, so you're adding duplicates. You're not really like pacing yourself when it comes to collecting or which games you want to play in the future. And there are so many helpful apps that when I started, you couldn't really scan certain games because some of them could not be found on these lists. And now they have limited editions, they have different variants, different exclusives. So that's very helpful, but when you get a crazy collection, it just gets super overwhelming. Thinking about having to put, over 8,000 games into an app, or, all of these crazy limited edition consoles and things like that. So that is something that I definitely regret, and I would have loved to have done that a little bit sooner, just so I didn't have to worry about that. And then I would have to say another great tip would be to focus when it comes to a gaming collection. Some people see these insane collections, they just get super overwhelmed, they don't want all of that clutter, all of that space, everything else. Sometimes you're working with a much smaller space, and that is completely understandable. Not everyone wants so much clutter, so much craziness going on in their house. There's just so much to worry about with some of these larger collections, but sometimes you can just hone in on certain things. If you like certain series or games or gaming systems or franchises, just things like that, or if you want to go for displays and kiosks and things like that, you could definitely focus in on that. You don't have to buy everything and anything that comes your way. You can say no, and you can, steer away into the things that you really enjoy. That's something that I am super thankful for, everything that I have here, but there are times that I definitely missed out because I was jumping into other sets, other things that popped up, and maybe I would miss out on some crazy big rare item that I absolutely wanted, but because I bought something or a lot of games before, you just have to like pick and choose where you're going to be. So definitely focusing, honing in on that really helps out when it comes to collecting or even just trying to add different items that you would absolutely enjoy. And then I would have to say making connections. This is a hobby that you cannot do completely by yourself. You have to find games, find items from other people. And how do you do that? You go into different gaming stores, you go online, you talk to other people who enjoy this as well, you go to video game conventions, you have buddies in Facebook groups, you go to yard sales, flea markets, thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace, and you are constantly talking to other people about this. Don't be afraid to ask them if they have any more gaming items, if they're willing to bundle deals, if you go somewhere and they said that they had games, but you don't see any, so you ask about it. Just don't be afraid to do that, because making connections is key. There are so many times where big game stores near me have reached out and said, hey, someone's trying to sell a kiosk, display, something that wouldn't really fit in our store, but if you want it, you could reach out to them. And, next thing you know, I'm coming home with a Nintendo 64 kiosk, or like something crazy of that nature. It's just great, making these connections, buying an Xbox kiosk, and then next day, or like a little while later, I'm buying a World of Nintendo fiber optic sign. Just really making these connections within the community, building this like-minded community. It's just an amazing time, so you have to make those connections and just see, because you never know what is waiting for you around the corner. And then I would have to say, one of my biggest things that I wish I would have done a long time ago, I know everyone hates the term reseller or someone who does exactly what I'm about to explain, but bundling collections. I wish that I would have, grabbed bigger lots back then, maybe held those items to either resell or trade to some of my buddies. Maybe I could have worked out some other better deals, but there are so many bulk deals that I've turned down, over time, because I only needed a few of the items and I didn't feel like hassling with all of the extra stuff. And by the time I would have been done with these items, I could have at least made my money back or made a friend happy by trading some of the items in that lot to help them out. So that is something, bundling and finding those big bulk deals that I wish I could have done a little bit sooner, because there are so many items that I'm sure I've missed out on, especially now that I'm going for certain full sets and things like that. I think earlier on I was going for a lot of the games that I had back in the day, and now there's so many that I want to experience. Just because they're deemed a bad game does not necessarily mean that it's not fun or a bad game to you. So that is something that I definitely missed out on, and I wish I knew a little bit sooner. Now, I don't think I'd be going around, selling everything. Definitely don't think that's it, but sometimes that works for people, and just using those items to trade for, bigger items. People say it all the time that they trade up towards something that they really want, because sometimes game stores need some of the lesser games, but the more common titles, because people are asking for those when they go into those locations. So those are just some crazy things that I wish I knew before jumping into collecting nowadays. And I want to know in the comments down below, what are some things that you wish you knew prior to now in collecting in 2024? What are those things that you wish you would have changed a little bit of or discovered sooner? Just let me know in the comments down below. And of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out all of my other videos and stay tuned for more.